Got NC Travels and my man Hank Hill. What's up, fellas? Yeah, I just went ahead and said 2025 we're all going to get good. Isn't that great? Great news. What y'all got going on? I still don't know how to work a looper pedal. It's like that big. It has one button. Confuses me. Yeah, I decided to do a little chill Sunday night stream. Finally had a couple days off for New Year's. I didn't have much time off during the holidays. But I took Christmas. You know, you had Christmas Day and Thanksgiving Day, but like taking the better part of a week off, I wasn't able to do that until this week. So there's a lot of stuff I kind of wanted to do YouTube wise that I may have been too my intentions may have been too lofty. It's funny. if you take a bunch of time to make a video with a bunch of parts in it and stuff, that one may not get any attention whatsoever. Nobody will give a crap about that one. It's alright. It's all for fun anyway. Got too much delay reverb going on. There we go. Chord changes are hard. You know, since it's doing the New Year reflection thing, I don't like to do the whole resolution. I'm always kind of against the grain when it comes to stuff everybody else does. But even though it may not be much different, I do like goals. Short-term goals, long-term goals. And it's just naturally, the New Year's kind of a time for self-assessment, and I'm real big on that. Accurate self-assessment, where you look and really try to have that honest dialogue with yourself. What was good? What was crappy? Tuning gremlin. And this has really been the first year I started doing any kind of YouTube stuff. And my intention was to just A, have fun, B, try to make stuff that I would be interested in, with the hope that people like me will be interested in it, and C, an outlet for me to start doing something else with guitar besides just playing by myself. I've done a lot of practicing and started some lessons this year, and with really good intentions and some improvements. But when I go back and listen to stuff I've put out on this channel, which I don't like to do that much because everything's kind of cringy to me. Nobody likes watching themselves. But to critique, and I've really been trying to do the outside playing for a long time. And I've had more outside tools put in my toolbox than ever before. I've understood more stuff. Excuse me. But hey, thanks, Steve. That was one of those 18th Y chords. A Scottish guy turned me on to them. You gotta, reach for that 18th. That's what gives it the 19th is a little stinkier. With the 18th is risky but beautiful. How you doing, buddy? But with my own playing, when I look back at stuff I've recorded, and yeah, you're picking up what I'm putting down. When I'm watch stuff where I was really trying to do outside stuff, and it is not really that good. It's not pleasant to listen to. And part of that is I'm a neophyte to some of that stuff. Part of it is the nature in itself of when you play something that introduces tension. It does have a little challenge to the listener. I think that's right. The double 18th is a flat 19th because it's a tritone substitution of the 16th. So in that sense, you're exactly right. Hey, Mike, these are they're lace sensor hot golds, but this guitar has the active Clapton mid boost circuit in it. So even when it's turned all the way down, I think it gives like a 6 dB boost. And I really never turn it up, rarely. I keep it all the way off, but the active system with these hot golds just really does it for me. This is my number one guitar. It's like it's stratty in a really kind of modern uber stratty way. It's like the Strat sound that I've always heard in my head, not the Definitely not the vintage Strat sound. But it's a Strat sound I like. I do have a guitar with EMGs in it. It's a Strat with it's basically the Luke set. It's got like 2 SA single coils and a 89 in the bridge. That's a fun one. Only downside is it's picky with fuzzes. You know, anytime you have a circuit with a trying to play like a fuzz face or another vintage type fuzz, I may have to get my other Strat out with the traditional passives in it. But there are fuzzes that work with it too. I'll tell you one pedal that doesn't bother at all is the good old tube driver. Yeah, Steve, actually that is kind of a session era Landau is definitely kind of a sound I go for sure. You nailed it, man. You know, it can clean up really well. Yep, dude. You called it. That's exactly what it is. It is a Powerhouse Deluxe, and it's made in Mexico. And I've got guitars that are a lot more expensive, but this one is just special, number one to me. But so you got a Powerhouse Deluxe too. That is awesome. You don't see them that often. And people don't know about them. What's up, Will? Doing good, man. I'm glad to have you. I'm glad I popped up in your feed. You must do a search for bad guitar players a lot. So Mike, you use your boost cranked, huh? I'll tell you a little trick with the Powerhouse Strats. They put, it's like one resistor. So it's got the Clapton boost circuit in it. But they put one resistor that basically halves the output. And you go in and clip it. And it brings it to the Clapton circuit specs, which is about twice as much boost. Oh, thanks, Steve. That's all you spend your time doing. I spend my time, way too much time doing the same thing, man. When you don't watch TV. Yeah. Guitar YouTube has pretty much replaced TV for me. That's awesome. Yeah, Mike, I agree. I've got two. One of my other Strats is a MIM Now that one I've replaced the neck with a Warmoth neck, and which, you know, Strats really are the Legos of guitars, right? You build every little piece to your liking. And with main Mexico Strats, if you get a good one, you know, one that you know the neck and the body are kind of a banger, you don't feel so precious about replacing everything on it. Oh, yours is the Maple Powerhouse. Yeah, I've got two Strat style guitars with maple fretboards, and I love them. I'm not, I don't swing hard one way. There's my main man, Road Man. What's up, big dog? I like having the difference between you have a Strat that's got a nice snappy maple fretboard, and hey, nothing wrong with being a Tele man. I had a love affair with the Telecaster myself years ago. I had a Telecaster. I had several, and I was kind of transitioning to Strats. And I've never been a guy that lets guitars go a lot. But in that particular instance, I was trading. And so I traded one of my Telecasters. And it wasn't even for a guitar. I think it was for... It was for a speaker cabinet and some other stuff. And when my dad heard that I traded it, he went to the store and bought it because he loved that Tele, and he still has it to this day. It's pretty funny. Yeah, see, you enjoying the Lego you put in the Graphtec saddles. I got this is my favorite bridge. It's a Wilkinson, I think like a VS. You usually see it with a 2-post. Of course, this is a 6-screw type, and it, for my obnoxious whammy over usage, oh yeah, that'd be fun to make a Esquire. Just one pickup, volume knob, tone knob, and you can do anything you want to with it. To include, wield it as a weapon, and it'll stay in tune. Yeah, I've always had a good experience with stuff that was Wilkinson, and I know they have different companies adopt their designs and whatnot, and make them with the Wilkinson stamp on them, but I always feel like I get a pretty good, you know, you're not getting just junk if you're getting something that says Wilkinson on it. You know, I did the Graphtec nut, Graphtec tusk string tree, and of course the pickups are laces, and then I did that little mod making the Powerhouse boost into the full Clapton boost, which was clipping one resistor, if I remember correctly. a Floyd Rose guy either, man. I got a Kramer back when I was a teenager. And it wasn't a real Kramer. It was when, I don't know if you remember, Gibson bought Kramer. And they came out with the Music Yo era of Kramers. And it had a Floyd Rose on it. And, you know, I was listening to all the shred stuff. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to be able to do all, you know, all that. And I did not get along with it at all. Actually, I don't know if you can see. You can't see it. I'm going to grab it real quick. Check this out. Crazy paint job alert. Alright, I'm going to kill myself and die under two guitars wrapped up in a bunch of wires. That's how they're... I didn't mean that, YouTube algorithm. It was a joke about having an accident doing stupid stuff. But this is a... God, if I get it where you can see the crazy paint job. Yeah, I mean, really, this was a cheap, made in Korea Kramer Beretta, right? It came with a Floyd, and obviously, my uncle's an artist. I gave it to him and told him to have fun, and I had it painted and took everything out to have it painted, and now it just sits on the wall. But I have thought many times about putting some hardware on it. And a lot of what's kept me from doing it is disliking the Floyd Rose. But since we are guitar rabbit holers, I have researched what could replace a Floyd Rose without routing and all that mess. And apparently the Schaller Vintage Bridge is what it's called. It's made by Schaller. But it's set up, it's more like a Strat bridge, but it actually fits most Floyd posts, or you would probably screw new posts in there, but the post spacing is supposed to fit. Yeah, man, I think I may do that this year. You know, I've got humbuckers sitting around that aren't in guitars I could slap in it, and I'd probably order some new pots and a three-way switch or something. I wouldn't do any coil splitting or anything like that. And if I could get that bridge to work, and then Graphtec makes a product called it's like the nut unlocker. And what it is a nut that's designed to replace Floyd nuts like that, so I wouldn't have the screw in deal, which all that I think could come together to be a pretty cool guitar. You know, looking at the frets, I think they're big enough where they wouldn't bother me. Yeah, that could make a cool video, you know. And we could definitely test out whether the Schaller bridge, the Schaller Vintage, is a acceptable replacement for the evil Floyd Rose. Yeah, me and the algorithm, I'm not made for the YouTube algorithm, that's for sure. And I intentionally keep like PG, because sometimes there'll be 14, 15-year-old kids that are starting guitar will pop in here from time to time. And I don't want to be, on here cussing up a storm or something. But you start talking about nut unlockers, boy, you don't want to be in that Google search. Yeah, if I get started without any boundaries, so he wanted to paint the Highway 1. What was he gonna do? Something crazy like that? Put a crazy design on it? And are Highway 1s, are they nitro or are they just regular poly finish? It's real tempting to do funny stuff to your guitars, but it's hard to do without it looking like crap. I mean, that guitar, it just looks crazy, So you kind of do the same deal. I'll have to check out your channel, man. I'm glad you found me and I can find in and pop yours. Yeah, so if the Highway 1's natural, I'm with you, man. I wouldn't mess with that. That's got the ability to turn into just a cool finish just from playing it. And you said you're an artist yourself too, huh? Okay. The Rev Doctor Guitars. I'll have to make a note of that. Go over there and check you out. You see the YouTube algorithm is funny, man. It's like you're into very similar stuff to me. Guitar teacher John from New Hampshire. What's up, man? Glad to have you. But the fact that your channel ain't popping up in my recommendeds and I don't already know about it, it's like, what the heck? Oh, so you sold the Highway 1 when the bubble was high. That's good stuff. I got guitar teacher John here. I can ask him why I can't get melodic minor to work. Yeah, I really think this year I'm gonna get back to trying to play melodically and instead of trying to make everything sound so outside, because some of my output leaves a little bit to be desired as I review it. That sounds like a channel that's relevant to my interests. I'll definitely drop you a sub. Yeah, I'm a big Pink Floyd fan, John. I usually don't play straight up covers because I don't know exactly how the copyright thing works. But and this is, this is cliche, but Dark Side of the Moon is probably my favorite album of all time as far as all things considered, album wise, start to finish. It's a masterpiece. Yeah, man. Well, I'm glad you are joining in the fun. I do have a backing track, John, that I made as a fake Pink Floyd backing track. I've played it on here before, but I can throw it up and try to get a little Pink Floydish thing going on. I'm gonna load it up in my handy dandy Logic. Let's see. You can't go wrong with Gilmour, man. As far as melodic and tone and touch and feel, if there's ever you always hear him as the example of no shredding or guitar gymnastics is necessary to be great. Let's see if I can find where I put this thing. Floyd Jam Track, aptly named. Let me put it on the right. Last time I couldn't remember what key it was in. Alright, let's see. One right here. I think for some reason, did I make it in D minor? Alright. For some reason, my signal has a Here, let me try this again. Y'all bear with me for 1 second. Check. Okay, that's better. I don't know what happened when I imported that file to my Logic. It got confused. I confused the technology. I think I probably confused myself and did something wrong. All right, let's try that again. Now I know where it is so I can find it faster. Audio file. Floyd Jam Track. There we go. Now we're cooking with grease. You hear that? A man that took piano lessons for 6 months when he was 7 years old is dangerous with a MIDI controller and Logic. You'll hear what song I'm ripping off when it kicks into the second part. Oh, thanks, John. Shine on Crazy Diamond quote. That's why they call it a pedal board. You're not supposed to switch it with your hands. See if I can use my dynamics, try to bring it down. Apparently, I was going for the long backing track when I made that. It's one of those funny guitar player things, man. It's like, you know, I don't want to listen to myself solo for 5 minutes straight. Why would anybody else? But you know, it's a guitar channel, so. But well, that's a lot of dope on that tone. Hey, thanks, guys. I think that backing track is. I think I uploaded it. If y'all ever want to play with it, or practice with it, whatever. I'll make a video with it. I don't care. Well, I'm glad to have guys that are like me and don't mind a serial noodler. Yeah, I think the last time I played that on stream, Oh, man. That's humbling. Thank you so much, John. I'm glad you requested a Floyd type song. I'm a huge Floyd fan. I burned through everything growing up, even the early stuff, Metal, Saucer Full of Secrets, and of course all the greats. Okay, cool. Well, maybe do you use backing tracks for, you know, for songs that you would expect to be copyrighted? Because that's good to know if they're not dinging you, maybe I can do it. I do kind of have fun making backing tracks, but it's hard to have time, to do them and have fresh ones. You don't want to play the same ones all the time. But doing my little recording hobby stuff, you learn a lot each time you do one. Like when I did that one, I'm not like, I'll do a fake Hammond organ with my MIDI controller in a minute. That's my jam, but I hadn't done too much synthy stuff, so I was able to kind of give that a shot when I made that one. And anytime you make a tune and try to get some different sounds, you always learn from it as far as recording goes. But I'm actually it's funny we're talking about it. I've made a recording of a song that's a parody, and we'll just say it's a parody of some canned stuff you would hear on the radio in a certain genre. All right, so that gives you a little sneak peek, right? So I've made the song, and I'm not a great singer, but I put some vocals on it. And that's one of the most challenging things for me, is trying to get the vocals mixed to where they sound a little more polished and they don't sound like some dude made them in their bedroom, which that's what they are. but so I'm fooling around with that, and then I'm going to try to video some of the guitar parts and stuff, and I don't know, playing around with ideas, splicing some funny stuff in there. But I basically got the idea to, okay, we all say this music is crappy, canned, not of a lot of musical value. So how hard would it be for an amateur hobbyist like me to make something in the ballpark? And it was been kind of fun. But when you do something like that, you want to get it to sound as good as possible, and that's where the challenge is. But if y'all ever hear any backing track I play, when I first got started, I was uploading some backing tracks, and I just kind of really didn't keep following through with it. But if y'all ever hear one I play and want me to upload it, I'll be glad to. I've got some that are geared toward working on particular things that I made for myself, but some are just one chord vamps to do your thing on. We all like the one chord vamps. See, I tell people I'm into modal jazz. It's not because I want to play on one chord and that's easy. No, it's because I just like the modal. You get a bebop song with 5,000 chord changes, and it's like, good God. I've gotten better this year at playing chord changes on like standards and stuff, but I feel like I'm not playing good stuff on them. I'm playing like, uh, you know, arpeggios that are not really of any substance. You know, it's just almost like it's a exercise. So that may be my lack of skill in that area. But, you know, my favorite jazz to listen to is, you know, your later Coltrane stuff, and not a whole lot of chord changes in that. And the, uh, the melody and the harmonic content is very free, and that's the kind of stuff I like. I've been, let's see if I still have it pulled up. Oh, shoot, I think I closed it. I've been mildly obsessed for about the past 3 weeks or a month with the Coltrane album Transition. And it wasn't one I had a lot of exposure to. Uh, Still got all my dope on that tone. But that that album he recorded, I think it was in '65, so it was after A Love Supreme. And any of y'all that aren't into jazz and Coltrane, stop me if this is not interesting to you, because I don't want to talk about my favorite horn player to a bunch of guitar players that don't care anything about it. But the album Transition was released after he died, and I'd never really been aware of it. I guess I missed it, and I came across it this past month, and just blew me away. It was like made at a perfect time in Coltrane's musician odyssey, where he had gotten out of the Giant Steps. Basically the Giant Step stuff was his commitment to showing the powerful harmony of major thirds. In my opinion, I'm not a Coltrane jazz scholar, but for me, listening and trying to learn about it. So, everybody talks about Giant Steps like it's, this big deal, but really, that was an exercise in Coltrane showing his commitment to harmonizing in major thirds. So much so that he made songs that song is based on it, and Countdown, it was a reharmonization of an old, I guess it was a bop tune, but it's it's the original tune is called Tune Up. It's just 2 5 1s in sequence. Wait. That's it. And, you think Tune Up, okay, they made an easy song to warm up. That's like what you would open with, is just some 2 5 1s that are all in a row, to get going, and it makes sense. Hey, Jeff Jinglemaker, what's up, man? I hope you didn't come at the time. I'm boring everybody by talking about Coltrane, like I have any business talking about John Coltrane. So when he was doing that giant step stuff, it was really his experimentation and statement of that harmonization in major third system, in my opinion. And then you have A Love Supreme was like, okay, I've transcended that, and now it's in my toolbox to use over emotional music. If you ever listen to A Love Supreme, how's the weather in Florida, by the way? I think, obviously, if you can't tell by the way I talk, I am in the southeastern United States. We're supposed to get some really crappy weather. But A Love Supreme is a masterful album, but it is very heavy emotionally. It's like one of those albums you got to be ready for the emotional ride, and it's not all pleasant emotion. It's, you know, the sometimes the most beautiful things are beautiful in the ways they can cut you. You know, it's one of those type. Anyway, transition was made after that, and it was like it was a perfect time where he was doing all that, taking all that he had learned and had employed. He had made his super emotional statement with A Love Supreme, and transition was just like, now we're going to take it and we're going to burn. And it is a burning album with some just beautiful, beautiful moments. I'm not a guy that likes a lot of jazz ballads, really. But man, the second tune on it will just take your breath away. But I say all that. I swear, me and my mouth running. I actually sat down and did like almost when I was a kid, you know, when I was figuring out Led Zeppelin records and started, you know, I'm not transcribing, I'm not writing anything down, but picking out some of the cool runs and stuff he was doing, right? And I was really surprised at how many of them were diatonic and not using anything super outside. What gives a lot of those diatonic runs such a cool sound that they don't sound diatonic is the intervals, you know, like doing descending and ascending in fourths and stuff like that, that you hear a lot more on piano with the horn and the guitar. But really taking you out of that linear scale thing. And anyway, it's been a powerful learning experience over the past month diving into that album. But it really made me think about, I'm spending way too much time trying to, you know, do all that outside crap, and really that may not be the way to go. You need that in your toolbox, and Coltrane definitely does some outside stuff, but it's a lot more calculated and melodic in the way he uses it. So now I put everybody to sleep. Oh, Jedi Jingle Maker. I think I said John the Jingle Maker. That shows how blind I am. Sorry, buddy. He's like, man, I saw it said live guitar, and this guy's talking about his views on a saxophone player. Sorry. Play some guitar player licks. You know that just talking about pentatonics. That's the Jimmy Page, right? Where you go, I think the Want a Whole Lot of Love solo. But it's that. And it's also the lick he did in I Can't Quit You, Babe, right? Oh, I can't quit you, babe, but I'm gonna put you down for a while. And that lick has always been, since I was younger, in my vocabulary because of Jimmy Page, and you know other people use it too. But if you think about it, it really outlines in the blues the 4 chord. If we're doing a blues, I can't quit you, babe. That D7 or D9. We'll just call it James Brown, D. James Brown. But there's a Jeff Beck lick. I think it's in 'Cause We Ended as Lovers. He does like 2 versions of it. And for the longest time, I knew it was something similar to that Jimmy Page lick. But it took me forever to figure it out, which, you know, you would think it's a blues-based pentatonic thing. How hard could it be? But I was so used to that. I was trying to figure out, like I thought it was a different combination of that Page lick. But Jeff Beck starts on the B string. And once I figured it out, I was like, oh yeah. I think he does that to end at one time, and then later on in the song, he... And that's the one, man. That's the stuff right there. Let's see if this super reverb is too much. Yeah, too much reverb. It can sound pretty massive with some dirt. But you know, I wonder, I hadn't played like a live gig in a long time, since I was a young man, really. I wonder how much some of these super reverby how much those tones would get lost in a mix live. Obviously, I'm an Eric Johnson fanboy. Of course, he doesn't use any reverb like that, but he does use a little more echo than that. You know, I've seen Eric Johnson. It was when he was touring with Mike Stern, which was kind of an odd pairing, but I love both. You know, Mike Stern's a definitely jazz fusion guy and sounds way more traditional jazz. He just plays it on a Yamaha Telecaster with chorus. And EJ, you know, he had the Marshall and the tube driver, you know, his rig. And in that venue, it was muffled. You know, one of my my favorite guitar tones of all time, and I see it live, and you know, it is subject to acoustics and that really dark stuff, unless you just in a trio where you've got everything working to your advantage sound man wise. It can be hard. So I don't know. I don't know how much my bedroom tones are gonna translate when it comes down to it. When I retire and start my old dude fusion band, we're gonna take over the tri-state area with music that nobody wants to listen to. Even the best of the best fusion artists are playing like to rooms of 10 of guys like me. Crazy world, man. Best musicians out there. I got to see the band Marbin, and it was on their last tour, and it was in like a in a coffee bistro kind of fancy coffee place. And my dad was in there with me. He's, I've said a million times on my channel, he's a guitar player, plays jazz. And, if it was 10, 15-ish dudes, and I made sure to, get some merch from them and stuff like that, because, they're one of the best fusion bands in the world, in my opinion, right now, is Marbin. And they were in this southern town close to me. And, really approachable, nice dudes too. I got to spend most of the time talking with Everett, the drummer. He was super cool. I mean, like, me and him could have went across the street and got a beer for the rest of the day, and we were just having a blast shooting the breeze. But you think about that, some of the most talented, musically developed guys in the world, and if they're playing fusion, the audience and money is just not there. What a strange paradox. And even I was talking about Coltrane earlier. The album that really got me into Coltrane when I was earlier in my jazz journey is Live at Birdland. And you hear the opening tracks, Afro Blue, Shoot, I can't remember it now. Something like that's an easy hit. I just can't remember it. I suck at memorizing songs. But it's this just massive jam on Afro Blue, and it's live at Birdland. And you know, in my mind, Birdland's some giant theater, right? I don't know. I've never seen it. And when you hear the applause at the end, it sounds like he's in a little nightclub. And that was the greatest of all time at his peak. Crazy. But, you know, music and art, a lot of people are getting down because of AI. You know, there's all of this talk of, you know, the music industry, as in the machine that churned out contracts and records. It's largely a thing of the past. I'm supposed to stop playing stuff like that in 2025. Yeah, that's kind of not a thing anymore, right? You're not getting this record contract and selling a bunch of records and making generational money, and really very few people did that anyway. But there's just talk of no good music is being made anymore, and that's just categorically not true. It's just underground, and there is no more, I gotta get a record company to put it out. It's sitting on Spotify and SoundCloud and iTunes as we speak, and it's there to be found. And my 16-year-old has good musical taste. Got all my CDs. And it's like, oh, The Cure. Oh, I like that. Yeah, that's awesome. Slayer. Oh, that's not like The Cure. That's what listening to my Steve Vai. What's this all about? Where's the words? That's my 16-year-old going through my CD collection. But you know that she finds all the time really cool indie bands just on Spotify, and some of it knocks me out. It's great stuff. I was really into some shoegazer. Kind of at the same time I was into jazz. And it, was a kind of a proof in my mind that music didn't have to have super duper virtuosic playing to be emotionally beautiful, Like the masterpiece Loveless by My Bloody Valentine. That blew my mind and change the way I look at music. But, you know, there's bands doing stuff like that now, that they're playing this indie shoegaze inspired stuff that, you know, it was obscure back when it was popular, relatively speaking. And as far as radio stuff, there's always been plenty of crap, of corporate BS played on the radio. Always. Not all of what you hear on the radio is. She heard you play or heard me play and thought it was you. She was like, "You need to practice more." For some reason, I've gone into a deep monologue about music and society. It's gone downhill. But the good art is out there. And the real artists, the guys making fusion and the indie bands that just had their stuff sitting out on Spotify that are unknown, they're not becoming rich. But is art the end result supposed to be fame, rich fame, and money? That's not really what it's for. So, I think that's why I can be comfortable still being crappy at guitar. Because I'll just call it art. Who's to say I'm less artistic? My battery on my computer is getting low, and that's usually my signal that I've played all the notes. Definitely run my mouth ad nauseum. But I do want to thank all of you who showed up in my little corner of the interwebs and made this an awesome stream. Just getting to talk with like-minded guitar players is such a blessing for me, man. Oh, thank you, Mike. I enjoyed it too, and you know, y'all are what makes it fun. You know, I'm doing what I'd probably be doing by myself anyway, but being able to bring in a bunch of cool dudes that tell jokes and tell about their own musical experience and have their own knowledge and stuff, it really makes it so much more rewarding. So y'all be easy, and you know, I call this guitar vacation because you can kind of see that's kind of what guitar is for me. It's my escape from that which it's my escape from adulting. Let's just say that. And I want all of y'all to be able to have the same fun and escape and in your own guitar vacation in your own way. So thanks again, guys, for hanging with me tonight, and we'll talk to you soon. I'll probably be streaming again next weekend, so y'all be easy and enjoy the year we're going to get good at guitar.